Well, thank you again for joining me on this members-only webinar. Today's focus is the newly released Bogart 14 operating system. And it's my intention to take you through and share with you the highlights of pretty much everything in the system according to the macro system Bogart 14 operating system. You may know as well this is a little bit unique in contrast to previous versions of the Bogart OS in that the company is making this a complimentary access, I think, if you have Bogart 13. And I forget actually the tiers if you have a 12 or a Bogart 11 or a Bogart 10, what the pricing is, but contact your dealer or your distributor, your reseller for the specifics on the pricing for different folks. But if you're on Bogart 13, it's my understanding that this is a complimentary upgrade. So I'm going to go ahead and see how I can bring up my Bogart screen now. So let me do this here. Bogart 14, as you can see, is installed on my system. I am running the Pro version and the Gold edition of Bogart SE. And you may know, I love your comment, Adjuria, seeing is believing. The comment, hello Elon, great to see you as well. It's the number of features that are available to you if you've installed Bogart 14 or when you install Bogart 14 are dependent on if you have the gold, silver, or bronze edition, if you have the Pro edition. I have all of those enabled. So you're going to see that I have access to all of that information. So here we go. So I'm going to just walk through screen by screen and show you the different settings, the different new features and functions that are in the system. There's a number of them, and I think for me, if I was to give a summary as to the benefit of Bogart 14, it is improving editing efficiency. So I wouldn't say it's so much like, wow, I can do this now that I couldn't do before. What I think, for me at least, the majority of the new features and functions have enabled me to spend less time editing and a little bit less frustration with some of the things that you might do pretty regularly. So I'm going to first go ahead, you can see I'm into a specific project. This is an ultra-high definition project, so this is a 4K project, but of course you could be doing this on any project. The first big changes are inside of the import menu. And again, to differentiate, recording is streaming video, import is video files. And many of us, unless we're dealing with legacy footage, are now working with digital files on contemporary camcorders, whether it's a HD SLR, or most of the video cameras have also gone now to saving video files, whether it's HD, UHD, 4K, 5K, 8K. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead to the import menu. And if you're not seeing this, again, what you need to do is you need to show the expert menu if you want different functions. But what I can do, just like always, you go to choose a file, and I have an SD card inserted. This is footage I captured last summer on our trip to the Badlands in South Dakota. And you have the ability to select, of course, a video clip here. I have some mountain climbers. This is actually in Custer State Park. Let me come down here to this guy here. So footage of a bison. And you can see this scene is 2 minutes and 43 seconds long. So if I ended up only wanting to use like 8, 10, 12 seconds of this video clip, I'd have to import it, then take it in and trim it, right? But there's this newer function, which is really nice. When I open up the expert menu, and this is in Bogart 14. So you can see I've already selected the file. Let's see here, 0043. This is that 2 minutes and 43 seconds long. I select the clip, which we have here. Now I have a variety of options, again, that are going to save me time. So the first thing I could do, we've had this for a while, the ability to adjust AV correction. Now this is new as well. You're going to see this over in the special menu in the edit screen, we used to have, we've had this function for a while in the import menu, and I'm going to show you as well over in the special menu. There's color correction, and then there's control image. So control image are the first 4 options, and color settings, control color, are the next 3 options, along with audio. So I can make changes to the footage as it's coming in to save me time rendering later. Okay. Now that's not a new feature, but what is new are these 2 options right here. This one I think is a big time saver, especially if you're used to working with longer video clips in terms of the acquisition. You've recorded, or a colleague's recorded, or the client's recorded longer footage, and you're just going to use snippets of it, smaller portions. You left click on choose range, and it's a range function like we have in the trim menu, and this allows me to select a portion of this footage. So this bison. So you see I've gone in 1 minute 38 seconds to the in point, and let's do the out point. Just kind of while he's close up here, just going to do a little bit to save time on the rendering. Okay, so I've trimmed, set the in point for 1 minute 38, set the out point at 1 minute 55. So that gives me a length of 17 seconds. So it's telling me, see, the start point, the end point that I'm choosing to bring into my Casablanca, it's not the whole clip. So I can start the import on that, and again, dramatically saving me time in 2 ways. One is I don't have to, now this is only a 2-minute, 2.5-minute clip. That's not really, really long, right? If you had 8-minute, 10-minute clip, if you're doing long form video, like a training video, and you ended up only wanting to pull in 1.5 minutes of a 25-minute clip, this is going to save you a massive amount of time because I'm not having to import it, especially if I'm converting it from one format into another. You know, if I'm converting it from SD to HD, or from HD to UHD, or vice versa. The other thing it'll save me time is normally I'd have to import that full 25-minute clip. Then after it's imported and taken the time to do that, I would have to go into my Casablanca and trim it down. Now, I just need to say in terms of editing style, some people like to bring in the whole thing and then they can split it up, right? But if you know for certain you're only going to use a smaller portion of a longer scene, this to me is a great time saver. Now, here's the other really cool thing. If you use LUTs, and I should have prepped myself. I'm trying to remember the specific acronym for LUT. Maybe somebody else put it in the chat box. But essentially, an LUT is a preset filter. And we've had this for a little while over in the edit menu. But this is the first time we can actually access them in the import menu. So I can click select LUTs, and you can see essentially they're color filters. And it probably, is small on your screen, but you might be seeing an overemphasis of the color green here. Lighting, moonlit, so moonlit night, right? A nighttime filter. But if I wanted a sepia filter, for example, maybe I'm doing an old Western and I'm taking this bison. So by me adding this here, I can left click OK, and you're going to see, so what it does, so not only am I trimming this longer clip to a short, relevant amount of time that I want to bring in, I'm also applying a color filter to it in advance, again, saving me time of having to do that over the edit menu. Then I'm going to go ahead and click Start Import, and this is a new function here. It will show you the amount of time that's remaining to actually complete the import. You can see it down here in the bottom left corner. Isn't that cool? So again, I think this is maybe not all of us all of the time, but when you need it, this is a really nice function instead of sitting there and waiting for a few minutes. It is funny how time marches on, and back in the day when we started the Casablanca 1, you'd wait for 30 minutes to import a video, and that's just what you did. Right now, we're so impatient because the progress of technology, what it allows us to do in a shorter period of time. And when completed here, we come over to the edit menu, and in our scene bin is this finished clip. So you can see it brought in just that one scene, and again, just the number of seconds here. Let me get this out of the way. There we go. Yeah. So, 16.29, essentially 17 seconds. So that to me is a really, really nice feature. Okay. And again, that's found in the import menu in Bogart 14. Let me make sure I'm not, a couple of other things. Let me go select a different clip here. Okay, that's 14 seconds, so that's not so bad. I'll go ahead and select that one. And I'm going to remove that LUT. It's nice. See how it lists it right here? Sepia, or sepia if you prefer, but I'm told it's sepia. I want to remove the LUT, or color filter, essentially. Okay. No, I don't want that. It's strong, although it looks kind of nice. It's just kind of highlighted the colors here. Okay, why are you not letting me reduce it here? Remove. Looks like I had multiples. Okay, we're strong. Oh, I'm removing them from my menu, that's why. Ah, there we go. Far right, little X, remove. Okay. So I'm still learning things myself. There we go. Now, what's nice about this is, especially if it's a video clip, we do this with photos too, right? But mirror horizontally. So using this button too, you have the ability to essentially, we used to have to go in the special menu and use flip. So we have that function flip right here in the menu if you needed that. So, deinterlacer, rotate, we've had those things for a while. There's also a new feature in here if you're importing photos. Now, I should say too, this range function only works if you're importing a single video clip. Excuse me. If you're doing multiple video clips, you're importing multiple clips at once, then the range is not an option because it won't let you go in and select multiple ranges, different ranges of multiple videos. So it's just if you're bringing in a single clip. But if I'm bringing in a photo, let's go ahead and go to pictures here. Moving down the highway here. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and select this photo here. What's nice is you have the ability to zoom in or crop the photo, okay? So I can click detail and then click select, and it will actually allow me to position what portion of that photo I wish to bring in. You can see I've gone in and cropped the photo before I actually have to bring it in. So again, to me, it's a time saver, right? Okay, so we've selected that photo. We have the ability to mirror that horizontally. And there's one other button I want to show you. Get this out of the way here. Okay, so I brought that photo in. You saw that it brought it in as a cropped version. Okay, but let me come back here. Again, we can adjust the amount that we're bringing that in, or bringing it in the black borders, right? No borders. We have all those functions that we've had for a while. And there's a button I'm missing that I'm not seeing that I want to see right now. And where did it go? There's a new button that lets you adjust the length of time you're bringing in a photo. For a while, it was, it was 8 seconds only. Doggone it. Okay, it's not popping up. I'll just have to make that one of my little tips there. Now it's set for 30 seconds to bring the clip in. So I'm going to pause occasionally and check the chat box just to make sure there aren't any additional clips that you're missing or I'm missing. Any questions? Okay, so that's largely the changes in the import menu. Now when we get over to the edit menu, let me walk through the changes, and I have my little cheat sheet up here to make sure I don't forget things. All right, so we can, one of the first things is if you use Storyboard Plus, where I'm pointing my cursor right now is the position bar. Okay, and you've seen, the position bar underneath the clip here. They said it's now twice as prominent, twice as wide in terms of the number of pixels it takes up on screen, which is a tiny improvement. And you only get that is down here in settings if I have Storyboard Plus enabled. Okay, if I just have Storyboard, that's what you're seeing right now. We've had this for a while, but to make sure you're aware of what Storyboard Plus is, when I come down here in the Tools section, the User Interface setting in the bottom left corner, and if I click Storyboard Plus and put the check mark here, the tick mark, so it shows me the storyboard, but you have this new section here, and this new section with this position bar. As I scroll through, see how I'm moving my cursor left to right? If you take a look at the preview window on the right side of the screen, it's moving along and showing me where that cursor is relative to the entire project. The other thing Storyboard Plus gives us is a more relative indicator of the length of your scenes. Okay? What I mean is this. The space between, so this is scene C0065. It starts here at 10 seconds and goes here to 20 seconds, essentially a 10-second long clip. When I come over here to color bars, see the relative kind of, these black lines point to where that exists on the entire timeline, if you think of this as a timeline here. So it gives you the benefit of both ways of editing video. Casablanca, from the beginning through recent years, is based on a storyboard system, where each element in your project occupies the same amount of space, a thumbnail, or if you want to be specific, a picon, P-I-C-O-N, a picture icon, on the storyboard, which is nice for storytelling. But in terms of video, sometimes we want to know what is the relative length of that clip? Because if this scene, C0066, is 10 minutes long, and this clip here, C0069, is only 8 seconds long, they both, in the storyboard, occupy the same amount of space in our mind, and we think that they are equal lengths, when in fact they can have wildly different lengths, and so it's important to know maybe for the flow of your video. That's what Storyboard Plus gives you. It gives you a relative length, and you can see the little tiny amount of space this clip, C0069, because it's only 3 seconds long. Okay, so it gives me that indicator. And anyway, this indicator bar here, the position bar, is longer and easier to see. Okay, so I took a little left turn and went down the Storyboard Plus thing, but I think it's, and again, you can turn that on and off down here in the user interface settings, the little crescent wrench, and you turn that on and off right here. So again, that's up to you, okay? But that position bar is now a little bit longer. If we're using the options and we want to export a scene, so let's say I'm going to export 3 scenes. I want these waterfalls from Bali. So I'm going to select this scene, and I use the tiny interior left button, and that selects the scene. See the little rectangle, the white rectangle? I've selected that scene. Now I come over here and use the tiny interior left button on my trackball. That scene. So I now have 2 scenes selected, and one more. See how there's 3 scenes selected? 1, 2, 3. Now I can export those as individual scenes to a thumb drive or to an external drive. And I do that. I come to the option button here, exporting scenes. And it's going to say, well, where do you want me to export them? How do you want to export them? Yeah, I want to make it an MP4 file. This is also changed, by the way, inside of the Bogart 14 operating system. H.264, coded as an MP4 file. In previous versions of the Bogart OS, it was, I think MP4 was first, H.26. This way it's consistent with all the other video codecs. Okay, and I'm not going to have to do maximum quality. I can even just do high quality, even medium quality. Maybe I'm just going to use this on a website, and I want it to load quickly, so I can choose a lower bit rate, and that's directly related to the video quality. Okay, if this doesn't have to be ultra high resolution, it's just on a website. Maybe it's a travel website, and we want it to download quickly. People are watching it on their mobile device. I would choose a lower quality setting instead of the higher quality setting or the max quality setting, because there's more data. It's going to take longer to load on people's devices. Depending on where they are in the world, too, they may have less, less bandwidth on their internet service. Anyway, kind of getting off. And we're going to go ahead and export that. We're going to export it into the videos folder. Select that folder. And all marked, so all 3, not just the one that's currently highlighted in the scene bin. And it will show me the approximate time for the whole project. Okay, that's a new little indicator there that how much time it's going to take to export these clips. Now it's taking a little bit longer. They're relatively short clips, but this is a 4K video resolution, so ultra high resolution. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that. So yeah, I just wanted you to see what that little setting is and what it means. Okay. Questions so far? I'm going to pause for just a quick second and see if there are any questions. Chuck says the import settings is where the photo length setting is located. Thank you, Chuck. I'm going to go back there because I think that's an important thing. How did I miss that? Right here. Hello. See, I knew it was there. I even did some practice last night and first thing this morning, and I still blanked on it. So I want to show this to everyone. I took a step back. We took a left turn, but I signaled, so it's legal in most states. Let's go ahead, if I'm going to pull this up. And what I would do is right here in the import settings. Okay, this is where I can select the length of the photo that I'm importing. So I have the ability to adjust how, so if I only want to use 10 seconds, I'm going to import a little more than 10. I always say more is more, so it's better to import a little bit longer. But I don't have to import 30 seconds if I'm only going to use about 10 or 11, right? And now we come over to the scene bin, and there's our 12-second long clip of that photo. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate that. Thanks for saving my backside on that. So, all right. Today, I guess I'm the Casablanca sort of expert. Halfway there expert. All right, let me go back here to my cheat sheet and pop into what's next here. Excellent. Orange position marker, we did that. Delete scenes. If you want to delete scenes from the storyboard or the scene bin, now, of course, you know, deleting is something you want to be careful of, right? I'm going to add this clip to the storyboard, and you may know I can add it, but I also can just drag and drop it. We've had that for a while. We just dragged and dropped the scene up on the scene bin. We just drag and drop both of those. If I want to remove them from the storyboard, for years since the release of the original Casablanca, we had to click on something and then click remove. Right now you can just click on it and drag it down here and it goes out. So we're just dragging stuff off the storyboard. So you can clear out a bunch of scenes in the storyboard. I'm going to add that back again and just add a whole, oopsie, sorry, right click. So a couple different ways of doing this. I'm showing some shortcuts along the way. I could select those or highlight those by interior left button and bring out all three of those at once, or just take one at a time down like this. And all I'm doing is I'm dragging and dropping them. See how it, right now this allows me to move it around. See the yellow position bar? That's where that clip's going to go. I'll release it and put that clip in the middle of the other clips. I want it, so I left click on it and drag it, and the yellow position bar allows me to move it around. But if I want it to go away, I just left click on it and drag it down, left click on it, drag it down. And if you don't want this scene in your scene bin anymore, I can left click on it, drag it down here. See how it turns the circle with the X, the red X? Gone. I want to get rid of this scene, the bison. Left click on it, bring it down here, let go. But there is an oops button. Oh darn, I didn't mean to delete that. Excuse me. You have the undelete button here. A lot of computers would call this the undo button, so I can undo those up to the last 10 actions. Any more than that, it's gone forever, Clementine. Okay, but the first 10, you can undo those or bring them back. Okay? Excellent. Okay, let me see this one here. There is a new button underneath the storyboard. Let's see if you can find it. Anybody? You know, we've all been looking at this storyboard for a long time, and the developers have packed a lot more in there. Back in the day, remember it was like add, remove, replace, insert, then search, and now split. You can split inside the storyboard. Well, there's this brand new one here called rename. See that? So see how this scene right now that I've selected inside of the gray workbox is C0064. If I'm making a DVD from this and I want to use the scene names as chapter names in a chapter menu on my DVD, it's going to come up C0064, and then inside of Arabesque I can change that, but I can save myself time right now by clicking rename here, and I can call this waterfall. I'll just call it water for the sake of time. And you see, so I'm changing the name of the clip inside the storyboard instead of the other way we used to have to do it to make what they call a clean arabesque DVD menu, set it up so it's easier to do. I think wedding videographers, this is a big bonus for y'all. I used to have to find the clip down here, so search for the clip. See, down here it's still C0064. So I've actually just changed the title of the one up here. Okay? A minor thing that's going to help out some people in specific cases. All right. So those are the new changes inside of the Edit menu. Now I'm going to pop over here and jump into the Effects portion. Now, so we have these three effects menus: transitions, image processing, and titling. But image processing, just a reminder that the image processing effects or filters that we have are also found in the Edit menu under Special right here, right? All of those, well, the great majority, I don't know what it is, 97.8%, something like that, are also found over here. So I can apply an effect or filter to a single specific scene instead of multiple scenes in the storyboard. So let's say I wanted to do color to gray. It's kind of like, rendering it sepia or sepia. Left click OK. It's going to make a copy of that scene, rendering it with the filter that I selected. In this case, essentially monochrome or black and white. Looks really weird, actually. And now I have the same scene rendered in black and white. It's like the contrast is too high or something on that clip. But it looks much better in color. But here's the brand new, and I sort of teased this new option when we were over in the import menu. Some people are going to take a scene and under special, if you want to adjust control color, the values of RGB, right? Your red, how much red, green, or blue, the three primary colors are in the scene, of course. Okay. Then some people wanted to also maybe adjust the gamma setting slightly by a setting of 1 or 2. Some people did that, or brightness. Well, now we have this brand new option right here, AV correction, audio video correction. Just like we have in the import menu, I have the 4 options that are found under control image, the 3 options that are found under control color, and the overall clip volume inside of this one button. So if I'm making changes to several video clips, this one's going to be advantageous because I can do these settings. Like if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to reduce the brightness down to 95%. Okay, and again, if I want to compare, okay, the original and the correction, so you can see the original scene. I always recommend using this setting because sometimes if you're just looking at the changes full screen, you might adjust it so dramatically that when you finally see it, you're like, holy smokes, what was I thinking? I like this original plus correction because it gives you a reference tool instead of, of course I'm being overly dramatic so you can see the changes. And then if I wanted to enhance the green, whoa, it's very green there. Okay, yep, that's Bali, Indonesia. Okay, and then again, the volume of the clip, I could, diminish it. You can't mute it entirely, but I can attenuate it down to minus 20 decibels. But if it's just a little hot, I could bring it down. If it's going to be background audio, right, I could just do it right now. Take it down to like minus 12 decibels. And left click OK. And left click OK. And let's say we did that clip, and then I come over here, and I want to do the same thing. Go to Settings. And what's nice is, see that? Because I just made those changes, it retained those changes inside of the settings, So now I can just click OK, and essentially I'm doing a batch of a bunch of different clips at once. Like if I know those settings, I can just do them. There's another place we can do that in the operating system, but this one I think is even quicker than the other model. Okay? Makes sense? Again, some minor changes, but I think, again, I think they are time savers for specific situations. All right. Couple of others here that I want to show you in this in the effects menus. This is a cool one if you use things like blue box or picture-in-picture a lot. So I'm going to come here and I have two different scenes. Scene C0073, you can see is 6 minutes and 19 seconds. The scene to the right of it, 0074, is 6:04, right? So if I add picture-in-picture, I'm just going to do the very simple pip. And again, same thing works, you know, blue box world, picture-in-picture. There we go, picture-in-picture, just the standard picture-in-picture. I'm going to add that to the storyboard. And see, by default, it comes up 1 second long, right? But if I'm doing a picture-in-picture, I want it to be as long as I possibly can. And see how I've got the pip in the right, so we can go ahead and let's change position and size. So make it a little bit larger here. Change the position. Oopsie. There we go. Okay. Left click. Okay. You can see I've got a pip over here. Picture-in-picture. But I want it to be, again, as long as I possibly can. We used to have to come into the system here, click on range, and then adjust it. Here's this brand new button called maximum. Maximum. When I left click on maximum, it will take that scene, because I'm in the transition menu. The same thing works in the title menu. If you wanted a title to go over the full scene, the full clip, by choosing maximum, it takes, in the transition menu here, it takes the full length of the shortest scene and applies it. Because one of my scenes is 6:04 and one is 6:19. Now when I left click OK and I preview that, it's gonna show me the pip for the full length as long as it can be. So again, a time saver. Instead of having to click here, click on range, and then adjust it, I just click maximum, and then it goes for me. So that's a cool thing. Now, you can see that I'm in Storyboard Plus right now, right? How do I know that? I know that because I have this section beneath the icons and before the storyboard menu here that shows me the length and time, kind of my timeline of the storyboard. Now, you may already be using this and familiar with this, but as I scroll back and forth, you see those little different colored blobs or those little blotches here? Okay? Those are showing me effects. So the red are transition effects, transitions between two scenes. Let me see if I can find a different color one. Come on, chat. Hopefully you have it in there. Okay, I do. The blue is a title. So if I left click on that, I can go to the effect. It'll take me to that menu and actually show me the effect that exists on the storyboard. Again, I'm going to show you. I'm going to click on this little red blob here, left click, go to effect. Okay, it takes me to the place where that's a picture-in-picture between those two scenes. Now this is new too. You may have seen when I click on that, when I left click on that little, and you have to kind of be precise with your cursor there. See, it allows me to go to range, or I can cancel just to get out of it. But this is brand new. I can delete the effect right from here. Even though it's a The blue is a title effect. Even though you can see I'm in the transition menu, I can delete a title effect from a different menu by clicking in the Storyboard Plus. Now I have to say, I'm just showing you what's new. I have to say, I don't know that I would use that very often, to be honest with you, because if I've put something in there on purpose, I want to be very careful about deleting it or removing it. I would go into the menu, I'd go to Effect, and here I might make the modification. But that's me. Maybe I'm not seeing something why other people would want to do that. But I would be very thoughtful, very careful about deleting effects from other menus just kind of willy-nilly. Because as we know, that can have overreaching impacts. You know, if I delete a transition, then the length of my storyboard changes, an audio clip relative to that. It brings up the potential for some fun that I don't want to have today. Okay? All right, so those are the changes inside of the effects menus. Now, specifically inside of titling, there's a few minor changes here. I'm going to go. So right now, I think I have a horizontal scroller here. This was a few webinars ago. I was just making up, like, how you can use the Casablanca to create short social media clips, complete with text or titling here. So it's like a little teaser trailer for coming to Bali. Okay, so when I go into Enter Edit Text, and I go into the text and choose a font, there's these new 8 options down here in the title menu. Now, honestly, some of them I'm never going to use in my life. As you hover over, you're going to see the options for this. Choosing this will show the fonts that you have loaded in your Casablanca that have the Cyrillic alphabet as part of the options. This here will show, perhaps you're doing a historical video, or travel video on the Greek Isles, and you want to title something. So what I would do is I would click this, and it's going to only show me the fonts that I have loaded on my system that also have the Greek alphabet inside of their text options. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I like the style of this, Arial Bold. That's a font I imported into my system, one of the true type fonts. And maybe I want to do the Greek alphabet. So I left click OK, choosing that font. You see it down here. And when I go to the keyboard, the little letter S inside the circle down here to the left of Alt, these are the symbols that among them include the Greek alphabet. So these are the Cyrillic alphabet and the Greek alphabet. So I have to apologize. I think I know Omega. That's there's just a few Greek letters that I am familiar with. So, but if I wanted to add that, I could. You see, I've added the Greek letter. I think is that Omega? Yeah, I think it's Omega versus Alpha. Anyway, we're not going to go too far down that because I'm showing my naivete in the romantic languages, I think they say. So, but just remember you have those symbols there. That's kind of cool. Additionally, what might be helpful that I think to me is more practical than anything else in this option here, it's going to show, these are the symbol fonts, okay? Like you can have an emoji in there. You could have the MasterCard symbol, if you're doing a video and we accept MasterCard and Visa. This here shows imported fonts. Okay. All right. And the filters are stackable, so you can see it's hard to see, but when I press it down, it kind of, it's like it goes from raised up to pushed down. I don't know how else to explain that. But right now, I said, there's nothing. See, none of the filters are enabled, so it's not going to show me anything because I said, don't show me any fonts. This only shows the fonts I've loaded that are just symbols. Undo that. Okay. Show Western Europe fonts with the Western Europe alphabet character set. This one here, show me the fonts loaded on my Casablanca that I have imported, that I've brought in myself. Okay. And if you haven't done that, I highly recommend, and I'll try to remember to put a link in the follow-up email for those attending the session, and also below the video if you're watching this as you know, after the webinar. Sorry, I'm calling up eSeminars now. I think that's more contemporary. After the eSeminar, the link on my website that shows you how to import fonts. You can import up to 100 TrueType fonts in your system that you can use freely, that are very, very cool. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's what's new inside of the titling menu. There's also an indication. Let me see if I can come over here and show another. It's an indication in the notes from Macro System that, let me bring this down here so I can see it better. The boxes, I've been playing with title boxes for years and years in the Casablanca, and I love the, you know, the ability. You see, visit www.vacations today. You can make the box size full screen, smaller, and this is supposed to be minimum size. See how it, and previously when I clicked minimum size or min size right here, it's supposed to shrink the title box around the typed characters. It used to be when I did that it would shrink it farther than the typed character. See how it says visit space all the locations space today? It used to shrink it down like this to where it's not actually showing the whole title. It cut off the word today, and I would have to manually come over here and adjust it. But now it's supposed to, by clicking this min size, it'll shrink the title box around just so it's tight around your specific title. So you can use that, and I'm going to change the position of that. You can use that as a nice lower thirds title, right? And it's just big enough to show the text. Now, what I like to do in terms of creativity, I like to shrink it down, and then I'll enlarge it just a little bit on left and right sides. So it's just, you know, just a little bit of space around it. I think, to me, that's attractive. But, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, perhaps. There we go. All right. Working our way. I'm mindful of the time. We've got 6 minutes left in the hour. Almost done here, too. In terms of audio recording and edit, let me come over to a project here that's a little bit more, got some more audio. I think there's one in here. Okay, there we go. So we're in the sort menu. See how it says sort original? And sort original, you can sort by name, so it's alphanumeric sorted. If you've got a whole lot of audio files, like you got a whole bunch of songs that you loaded in, that may be the easiest way to find them. I like this too. Sort by length, so it goes from the shortest at the top to the longest clip at the bottom. I really like that because it allows you to find your longer clips or shorter clips if you need them. And then original is when they were imported into your Casablanca. But you can manually drag and drop them now. So see how this one here, left click and drag it. So we can move clips around. Left click on acoustic guitar 10. So if you like to sort them, if that helps you, God bless you, there you go. That'll work for you. Um, you can now extract the audio with the scene selection. So if I come over here, when I click on the option key, scene to sample, sample to scene. So as you may know, again, this will acoustic guitar under option. This is where we can take an audio sample and make this a video scene and create a video and just striping video block on top of that. We've had that for a while. And then this, oh, I've got to wait it out. It's not going to let me shortcut that. Let me pause while we're here and open up the chat to see if there's anything that... I saw Jurian's question. If you change the storyboard name, shouldn't it change the scene bin name at the same time to avoid confusion? Perhaps yes, but I'm not a developer, and I'm sorry I can't answer that question. So I don't honestly know how confusing that would be. I don't know also if the scene bin okay, I've lost my trackball. Hold on a second here. There we go. Okay, got it back. Unplugged my USB connector to the trackball and plug it back in. So let me go back, Jurian, and answer that question. Oh, let's do this here. Okay. Let me find a clip. So let's rename this clip C0002. And I happen to know that's rice fields of Bali, so I'm just going to call it Bali rice. Okay, so I've renamed that. I search for it down here. I was just thinking, if I click replace, it's going to put the same name up there. Yeah. You'd have to rename that down here. That changes the name of the clip up there. Down here, I have to rename that as well. Or the other way around this, you may already know this, but if I change the name down here in the scene bin and then click replace, it'll replace it up here. But you want to be careful about that for if you have transitions already added in, all that kind of stuff. So I'd be wary of that. Okay. Good question. Okay, let me pop over here and see if going back to my cheat sheet. There we go. Audio mix. I did see in the upper right corner, this has been there the whole time on our session today, and I neglected to point it out. The upper right corner of your Casablanca, in the settings menu, or in the main menu, it shows you which drive you're on. You're on the D drive, and I have 14% free of my whole, I think I've got a 2 terabyte hard drive, so 14% is still pretty good. Okay. And it shows me which is my current project right from the main menu. I'm in Travel 1920. As a rule, I like to put the resolution of the project number that I'm in. You can see it's NTSC HD 1920 by 1080 30p. So that information is just when you go to the home menu. Okay. And I haven't run into this yet, but if the disk space usage falls below a certain limit, like if the system needs, if you are, if you're approaching like your used capacity, on your hard drive. If you are nearing 97, 98, 95%, and you have a whole bunch of long renders, longer effects, 3D effects, longer effects, um, the system needs more headroom, needs more hard drive space for that to be successful, let alone if you're exporting it to DVD. But rather than in the past, it would just not render, just stop. It now gives you a warning so you know what's going on. If you've forgotten, oh my gosh, I'm almost out of disk space. Okay. The last thing I wanted to show you here in the export menu is the indication is that you see the options here for H.264. From the developers, these export formats are sorted according to recommended usage. Okay, so in terms of general usage, you're going to have the greatest compatibility with the first H.264. And I have a whole other webinar on export formats that I can put a link to down below, as far as which one might you use for which application. So, and they definitely vary by what you intend to do with this or what you need to do with this. Okay, and then we've had this for a while, but to point it out, you don't have to export the whole storyboard like we did a while ago. You can choose by clicking Choose Range. You're choosing what portion of the storyboard you're going to export, and that's this button right here before you actually export it. All right, so that's a walk through the new features and functions inside of the Bogart 14 operating system. If you don't already have it installed and you thought there were some useful features today, I would encourage you to contact your reseller, your dealer, your distributor to access the activation code and the link to actually install the software. So I've been using it for a bit of time now, and again, I found the efficiencies worth it. It's not a night and day like, oh my gosh, that's freaking awesome. That's super. I love that. I've got to have that. But the efficiencies that I've seen, and hopefully some I've demonstrated with you today, are worthy of you considering that. Again, I remain totally independent of Macrosystem Germany, Macrosystem Americas. I'm only here because of your support, your subscription, the membership at CasablancaExpert.com. And I choose to remain independent so that my reviews, if you will, are honest and appropriate, and they have nothing to do with me receiving any revenue. So that's a walk through the new features and functions inside of the Bogart 14 operating system. If you don't already have it installed and you thought there were some useful features today, I would encourage you to contact your reseller, your dealer, your distributor to access the activation code and the link to actually install the software. So I've been using it for a bit of time now, and again, I've found the efficiencies worth it. It's not a night and day like, oh my gosh, that's freaking awesome. That's super. I love that. I've got to have that. But the efficiencies that I've seen, and hopefully some I've demonstrated with you today, are worthy of you considering that. Again, I remain totally independent of Macrosystem Germany, Macrosystem Americas. I'm only here because of your support, your subscription, the membership at CasablancaExpert.com. And I choose to remain independent so that my reviews, if you will, are honest and appropriate, and they have nothing to do with me receiving any revenue. So, all right. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I've got plans for some additional webinars in the coming months, and hope to get back into my almost weekly chit chats with Chet. I know one of the suggestions from one of the colleagues on the session today suggested me going through the system settings menu and bit by bit, because there's some different functions and the menus have changed. So thanks for that suggestion, Chuck. So great to see you all on the call today. Thanks for your continued membership and support. And again, don't hesitate to send me an email. Probably the best and easiest way is Chet, C-H-E-T, at CasablancaExpert.com. And I'll reply hopefully within 24 hours. And depending on where I'm at and whether I have access. But again, thanks for joining me today. The recording for this should be in the members area in the next 48 hours. All right. Thank you, and have a great day, or have a good morning in the case of one of our colleagues from down under.